Hi guys, I'm Kasha. Welcome to the channel, to my wonderland, and to our coffee times together. And today I'm sitting down here to talk to you about some of my favorite movies that I like to watch around Halloween season.
It's coffee time.
So today I was at work and I was thinking, like, have I ever done a video about my favorite Halloween movies? And then I looked through my channel and I could not find a specific video about my favorite Halloween movies. And I remember that I wanted to do it at some point, but I know that the movies that I regularly watch around Halloween are movies that we all know, so I wasn't sure if I should do a video about it because most of the movies you're going to know them, but I decided to share my thoughts, on some of my to-go movies for the spooky season, and sometimes I watch them throughout October and November, and I have a couple of new favorites though, and by new I mean on the later 2000s, so to say, so past 2005, because most of the time what we like to watch, or at least me personally, is more classics that we all know and adore. But today I have for you just a couple of movies, regular ones and then animated movies that I really enjoy to watch for the spooky season, and ones that, they just comfort me and I love to rewatch them and I never get tired of watching them. So let's go to them. The list that I made is really in no particular order, but I am gonna talk first of all about Halloween from 1978, an American slasher movie directed by John Carpenter. And we all know the story of Michael Myers on the night of Halloween in the 60s when he was 6 years old. He stabbed to death his older sister, so he was put in a sanitarium, and 15 years later, that's when this movie takes place, he escapes the sanitarium and he starts to hunt younger victims again on the night of Halloween. Now, the original Halloween, it's a kind of slow burn slasher, and I personally really enjoy it, but I am aware it might not be for everybody. And I think this year I'm gonna rewatch the sequel that they did, the direct sequel to this one, which came out in 2018, because I've only watched it once and I did get the nice steelbook with all the extras, so I think I'm gonna just rewatch that one and go through all of the extras and stuff, because I really did enjoy the direct sequel that they did to this first movie from 1978. So I think that's the one that I'm gonna be rewatching this year, but normally I rewatch the original one. Next we have one of my favorites that I could watch all day long, and that is Trick or Treat from 2017, another American horror movie slasher. And I love this so much because it is so well done. I absolutely love the way that the director can kind of intertwine these 4 different stories, and they're all kind of connected thanks to this little guy, this little boy called Sam in his orange pajamas and it's absolutely fantastic. If you're new to my channel, hi. I love Sam a lot. I have a slight obsession with Sam from Trick or Treat. I absolutely love this movie. I think the horror is amazing. I think the way that they created all the stories and they intertwine with each other is done in such an organic way. It's just fantastic. If you have not checked this one out, you should. And basically all the stories are different, and they're following different characters, but they're all happening at the same time in the night of Halloween. So if you love this kind of movies, you're also gonna enjoy the next one that I have to talk to you about. We have Tales of Halloween from 2015, and this is another compilation of stories. I believe in this one there are a total of 10 stories. They are shorter stories. These ones are not intertwined. They're completely different stories, and they are so gory and so cool. I absolutely love this one. This is another movie that I need to watch the night of Halloween because it's just perfect for that night. You're gonna find everything in this story. You have serial killers, you have aliens, you have really disturbing gory stories, so there's a story for everybody here. Next we have two of my favorite movies of all time. These are my top one basically. One of them is The Crow from 1994, directed by Alex Proyas. This is for me a movie that I rewatch every year, and one of the movies that has touched me the most and has the most meaning in my life, so I like to rewatch it every year. And if you have not watched this movie, please do, because it is fantastic. It is based on comics, but the movie doesn't really follow the same story that the comics have. So if you know the comics, just know that it's gonna be a different story. But we're following this couple that on the night of Devil's Night, on the 30th of October, they are basically attacked in their own apartment by this band of like bad guys, and basically they both end up being killed, and he comes back from the dead 1 year later to kind of take revenge on the guys that killed them. And this is like a piece of art movie for me. I think everything, every frame, every soundtrack, like every song, everything is perfect in the movie, and yeah, you should watch it. And the second one that's for me one of my favorite movies of all times is Dracula from Francis Ford Coppola from 1992. It is based on the novel from Bram Stoker, and it's pretty accurate to the book, this one. And I love it. Okay, can we talk about Gary Oldman in this movie? Like, excuse me. But this is a story basically of Jonathan and Mia that are in love, but Jonathan has to go to Transylvania to go to this Count Dracula's home to help him sort some of his documents and to help him find a place to stay because he wants to travel to London. And when he gets there, he realizes that things are not kosher over there in the castle. Yeah, so it's basically the classic story of Dracula. And I know that a lot of people have criticized Keanu Reeves' accent in this movie and all of that, but it's still one of my favorite movies. I have to admit that some of the effects did not age that well. But it's still one of my favorite movies, because this together with The Crow are the movies that have had the most impact in my life. I watched Dracula as one of my first horror movies, and I shouldn't have watched it when I did. I was too young. And there is a scene at the beginning where, without telling you too much, even though you probably know the story of Dracula, there is a scene at the beginning where blood starts to come out of all the places, like the wall and everything. And that's when I fell in love with blood, and I started to have nightmares about vampires and things like that, and actually liking those nightmares. And I think that's where my love for blood started. So I have that to thank it to that movie. Next we have Scream from 1996 by Wes Craven. So this has a special meaning for me because I went to the cinema to watch this movie when I was young, and for me it changed a little bit the horror genre in a way, and I absolutely love this first movie. And actually the franchise, it's pretty strong compared to other franchises that started to lose a lot of the strength that the first movie had. Obviously my favorite Scream is always going to be the first one, but I still think the other movies in the franchise are not bad or anything like that, and I like that they kept the main cast in a way as well. So actually this movie, it's inspired by real events, because there was this guy called the Gainesville Ripper in America that murdered 5 students in 1990, so that's where they got the inspiration sort of from. And in this movie, basically you get a call from somebody that tells that he can see you and starts asking you questions, and you start to shit your pants because you know that you're locked in your house and there's somebody coming for you, and that is a killer that they're trying to catch in this movie. And the beginning of this movie was excellent. Like, I absolutely loved it, and so it's one of the movies that I love to rewatch as well. Then we have The Craft by 1996, that it's now hot topic because we are getting, I believe it's going to be now a sequel. They started saying it was going to be a remake, but I think now they say it's going to be a sequel, so who knows. We're following the story of 4 teenagers that are outcasts, and they kind of start playing with the dark magic, with witchcraft, and they're kind of trying to use it for their own benefit, but it kind of backfires like you would expect. And it is a cult classic that, again, is one of the movies that I can rewatch a lot of times and I never get tired of it. Then we have The Addams Family, and I love to rewatch the first movie from 1991. It is based on the cartoons and the TV series from the 60s, but when I got to meet The Addams Family was thanks to the version with Christina Ricci. That's one of the reasons why I love her so much, because I always saw myself a little bit in her in that movie, and you know, I got to see myself represented in a character in a movie, and I was like, that's so me. Yeah, so I really love this movie, and it's one of those dark humor comedies that I actually like. As you guys know, I don't love everything that it's horror plus comedy, but I do enjoy The Addams Family a lot. I love also the 60s TV series that I got to watch after. So yeah, I really love them, and I'm super excited about the new movie that is coming as well. I think it's already released by now. So yeah, super excited to watch that one, even though it's going to be cartoons, but it's still spooky, so I'm gonna check it out. Then we have Gremlins from 1984, which is one of the movies that people discuss. Is this a Christmas movie? Is this a Halloween movie? You can watch it anytime you want, okay? And it's basically this guy that gets as a present this Mogwai, and he needs to take care of him, and there's a special rules that he needs to follow for this creature, and yeah, they kind of have problems with the rules, and then this creature starts to procreate more creatures that are not as nice as he is. Yeah, so everybody probably knows what Gremlins is about, but I absolutely love part 1 and 2. Love both of them. The second one is a little bit more focused on the comedy. It's a little bit more silly, but I still adore it. I adore it. And the flashing gremlin, I mean, they're just hilarious. And the gremlin in the food processor, 10 out of 10 would recommend. Next is the Purge franchise, and this is one of my new additions to my favorite ones, and I consider this one a little bit a guilty pleasure. Okay, I know there's a lot of mixed opinions about the Purge. There is some people that love the movies and some people that really dislike them. Now, I'm aware that these movies are not revolutionary. I'm aware that they are not special in the way that other movies are. They're bringing something new, like Hereditary, Midsummer, The Witch, A Quiet Place, all of these other movies, but these are a guilty pleasure for me. I enjoy this idea so much of having one night where everything is allowed, and I don't know, I just love it. I just love the Purge. And my favorite part is Anarchy. It's still my favorite one. The 5th movie is actually coming out, I believe, next year, but it still doesn't have a name. And the franchise started in 2013 with the first movie, The Purge. And yeah, I think it's very mixed reviews. I actually thought they were going to stop after the 3rd movie, but the 4th one was actually pretty good, so I really enjoyed it as well, and I'm excited to see what they're going to do with part 5. Let me know down below what your opinion is on the Purge franchise. Then we have Beetlejuice from 1988, and this is an American movie by Tim Burton. And I love this one. It's another example of horror combined with comedy that I love. And it's about this couple that, you know, die and they end up in the netherworld, but they're kind of still attached to the house they used to be in, and there is a new family moving in and they're kind of terrorizing them. And we also have the figure of Beetlejuice portrayed by Michael Keaton, that it is just fantastic. Now, there's been a lot of talk as well about a reboot of this movie, even including the original cast and everything, but so far nothing has been said like officially or anything like that. I think it's only just rumors, but honestly it's a movie that I think it's better just to leave it the way it is, and honestly I'm getting really tired about reboots, like, just stop. Then we have The Lost Boys from 1987, one of my favorite vampire movies, and it's about two brothers that move to Santa Carla, and basically when they get there, strange things start to happen, and we get to know the Lost Boys. And it is kind of a dark take on Peter Pan and the Lost Boys, and I absolutely love it. I think it's fantastic. I think it aged pretty well, and I love to watch it every year. I got to meet a couple of the people from the cast in horror conventions, including Billy Firth, who was one of my crushes in the movie because, I mean, his hair, so luscious, I mean, excuse me. And it was funny because when I met him, he had short hair and I told him to let it grow again, and he has. So, you're welcome. Then we have another one of my newest favorites, and that is The Cabin in the Woods from 2012. And the funny story behind this is, when this movie was announced, I was like, I'm not gonna watch it. It's this typical story, these 5 friends going to the cabin in the woods and they all end up killed. And I was like, I have to go to the movies for that. I can't watch this later when it comes out in DVD. And I remember when I ended up giving this a chance and I watched it, I was like, what the hell just happened, you know? I was like, new favorite for sure. So this movie, it's nothing like you would expect it to be, and that is part of the awesomeness of the movie. So I want everybody that has not watched this yet to go into the movie like I went, kind of blind. So the only thing that I'm going to tell you is that it's about these group of friends that go into this cabin in the woods, and then strange things start to happen in the cabin. And yeah, the rest you'll have to figure out by yourself, because else I'm gonna spoil the movie for you. But for the people that have already watched this movie, it was really good, right? It was really good. Then we have Child's Play 2 from 1990. This is a direct sequel to Child's Play, and it actually takes off after the events of the first movie. And in this one, we're still following basically Chucky trying to find Andy to kill him. And one of the things why I love this part the most from the whole franchise is because of that factory scenes. I don't know, they just gave me life. I just really love them. And I have to say, I really love the remake from Child's Play as well. But I still don't have a copy of it. It's still not out in DVD here in Germany. So I think for this Halloween, I'm going to be rewatching Child's Play 2. Now we have a couple movies that are more for children. I mean, the Addams Family is also for children. But we have Casper from 1995, and I actually rewatched this movie last year as well around the Halloween season. Another movie with Christina Ricci, and I believe back in the day they used a very like new technique to do the ghost, and it was also the first time, I believe, or one of the first times that a completely CG character was going to be kind of like the main character. And we have these father and daughter that are invited to go to this mansion because there's supposed to be this presence, and they specialize in getting rid of ghosts and things like that. So they go there, and yeah, they get to interact with the ghosts, and it's kind of like a comedy slash romantic movie if you want. Yeah, very classic from the 90s, but I absolutely love it. It has kind of like nostalgia for me. Then we have Hocus Pocus from 1993, one of the best witches movies. Fantastic, aged really well. Also rewatched it last year again, and it's about these 3 witches that are being accused of being witches after they turn one of the boys in the town into a cat, and they are hanged. But before they hang them, they make a curse, and they say that if a virgin would light up a candle, they will come back to life, blah blah. And guess what? One boy virgin does it, and so they come back, and we follow the story of these kids are trying to get rid of the sisters again. Then we have Coraline from 2009, and this is based on a book, a story from Neil Gaiman, and it is a very dark one. It's kind of really creepy for children, but you know, it's worse if, like me, you watch Dracula when you're a kid. I mean, not worse, I mean, I turn out fine, right? But basically Coraline is this girl that is very curious, and she starts investigating, and she kind of discovers this door to another world where everybody is very creepy. Yeah, kind of like a darker movie for children. And then we have one of the movies that I have rewatched the most in my life, and that is Nightmare Before Christmas from 1993. And yeah, it's another one where Tim Burton, I think he produced this one and helped also with the whole story and characters and stuff. And Danny Elfman made the whole soundtrack. He even sang for Jack Skellington. And it is basically another movie that people always debate. Is this a Christmas movie? Is this a Halloween movie? Well, it's both, and you can watch it both times of the year. Why not? And it's one of my favorite movies of all times. I've been watching it since I was a kid, and it's about Jack Skellington that lives in Halloween Town, but one day he's exploring the woods. He's feeling lonely, like sad, because every year is the same thing, and he's tired of being the Pumpkin King. And then he finds these doors to other festivities. We have Easter, Christmas, Halloween, and he's like, what is this door? The one at Christmas attracts him because of the Christmas tree and all of the pretty lights, and he decides to go in there, and he discovers what Christmas is, and he decides he wants to be Santa that year. And things don't turn out quite that well, but it is fantastic. I absolutely love it. And Coraline and this one are both stop motion movies which have so much work behind them, and they are fantastic. And I think still Nightmare Before Christmas, even if it's an older movie, it aged pretty well. And I think everybody should watch this every Christmas, every Halloween, and if you have children, this one's perfect. So these are some movies that I really enjoy to watch around the Halloween season. Yeah, so I know most of them you probably know about. They are mostly classics, but you know, there's this nostalgia and this comfort to come back to these movies every October, and I don't know, they're perfect for fall. Let me know down below which are your go-to Halloween movies. Thanks so much for watching, you guys. Please give the video a big thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and if you are new here, also remember to click on the notification bell so you don't miss any more coffee times with me. I also do have a Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. The links to those can be found in the description box down below, and I hope to see you all in the next coffee time. Bye!